Right, so waiting on the rains to arrive, I often run very short on motivation, which is why last night I did not get out to do this planting, so I'm doing 2 tonight. So first up, we're going to be going and replacing a Magnolia champaca, which I planted in an area where I want an evergreen large tree, because we currently have a lot of deciduous trees here, and I really wanted a little bit more stability for the under canopy, because that opens it up to a lot of other things to be planted. If I can have an open but constant canopy, a lot of things which won't tolerate drying out in full sun will tolerate things a lot better. Unfortunately, in establishing the Magnolia champaca does need that, apparently, and it did not have that. And when I went away for a while, both the Magnolia champacas I planted really sulked, but the one in shade has sprung back with no problems, and the one in full sun really has not. So we're going to be replacing this with something that can tolerate full sun, and will also tolerate other things coming up around it once it has established. So this is my starter for an evergreen canopy, which is a Dracaena studinary, which is the large-leafed Dracaena. Second up tonight is tonight's actual planting, and I could be accused of planting too many citrus, but I do, and I'm sorry, and it's not going to stop. And this is calamansi, or calamandin. It's a cross between a mandarin orange and probably a kumquat, which probably originated in China, but is very widely grown in places like the Philippines, Indonesia, Taiwan, southern China still. And it's also very popularly grown in greenhouses and conservatories in cooler parts of Europe and the United States and Canada, where it's mostly grown as an ornament because its fruit is very edible. But although it looks like an orange, it's much better to think of it as a lime or a lemon, which is why it's also called a Philippine lemon or a Philippine lime. It's very sour, it's very tart, it has a very pleasantly flavoured rind, which probably comes from its kumquat ancestor. So it's very suitable for uses in a lot of places you would use lemons or limes, but it is not palatable if you put it in your mouth thinking it's an orange. They do hold fruit year-round under the right conditions, which means you can have a constant supply of fruit from this, which is really nice. You can get that from some lemon trees as well. And this is going into an area which is relatively low in acidity for us. Our soil is generally very suitable for citrus. We have high iron, we have reasonable drainage, and we tend to have quite acid soils. This is an area where I used a lot of limestone to build up some rockeries for some of my succulents, and so it's slightly less acid, and it's also been exposed for a while, which has also reduced the acidity of the soil. But this is one of the citrus which copes with that quite well. This should be good as well because it's sheltered from the wind, and this is one that doesn't really like dry roots, but it does like to be in full sun. So having the shelter from the wind from all my trees, and then having this little open patch where it will get pretty solid sunlight, should do it quite well. It is a variegated form, which I couldn't avoid because I haven't found a plain leaf form. I'm not usually very good at variegated leaves, but we'll see how this goes. Because this is right next to some of the rocks, this shouldn't really need a marker, but I am going to be putting a couple of succulents around as extra ground cover here. So it's going to be getting a piece of the Stapelia gigantea, which is the starfish flower, which is a good one for distracting flies from your barbecue, and mostly it's just an aesthetic thing to have away from the house where you're not going to smell it. And then we're also going to be putting in a piece of the Calanchogastonus boniaria, which is one of the Madagascan ones that used to be included in Bryophyllum. This is sometimes called donkeys. It's a very attractive little succulent that likes low, flat, open areas, and it should do well as a ground cover here. And that should be everything for tonight, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and if you haven't enjoyed it, thank you for watching anyway. Please tune in again tomorrow because I will be planting something different. It may or may not be a citrus, I haven't decided, but we'll see.